Some of the loudest voices telling victims to stay would never survive what they're asking others to endure. In my last video, I said something that made a lot of people uncomfortable. I said that some of the loudest voices telling victims to stay would never survive what they're asking others to endure. And since then, my inbox has been very heavy. Some of you said, thank you for finally saying this. Some said, I have been thinking about this, but I was afraid to speak. And some were angry, very angry at me, which tells me one thing: we have touched a nerve. So today we're going there. Yes, we're going there again, because this channel has never been about comfort. It has been about truth, healing, and clarity. If you are new here, welcome. My name is Leticia Edirin. My last few videos have focused on domestic abuse, the kind that doesn't always leave bruises, the kind that happens to women and men, the kind society minimizes, they excuse, or better still, they spiritualize it. We talked about emotional abuse, psychological abuse, financial abuse, and control. So today we're talking about the system that keeps abuse alive. Not fists, not shouting, but religion, culture, advice, and people's opinion. Have you noticed how abuse changes name depending on who is watching? In private, some people call it pain. In public, it's called marriage issues. In churches, it is called endurance. And in culture, some people call it patience. In family meetings, it's called managing your home. Same pain, but different labels. A woman confided in her pastor that her husband didn't touch her for years. He didn't perform his conjugal duties for years. Not out of mutual agreement, not out of health reasons, but as a punishment. She was told, go and pray. God would touch his heart. Years later, her self-esteem was gone. Her confidence was gone. Her joy was gone. But the advice never changed. A man told his family that his wife constantly insulted him, controlled money, and threatened to turn his children against him if he never left. They laughed. They said, is she beating you? They said, you are the man of the house. And they also said, manage your wife. That man didn't need advice. He needed help. Not all advice is wise. Not all religious counsel is safe. Not all cultural norms are healthy. Some advice is given by people who have never lived in your home, have never experienced abuse, have never dealt with manipulation, and have never carried silent trauma. Yet, they speak with confidence and their words carry so much weight. Let's be honest here. It's easy to tell somebody, just stay, when you are not the one crying every day, every night in the bathroom. It's easy to preach endurance when you're not walking on eggshells. It's easy to quote scriptures when your mental health is not collapsing. Advice without accountability can be dangerous. Faith is supposed to heal, but when misused, it becomes a cage. When people tell victims, God hates divorce, marriage is forever, no matter what, suffering refines you. Pray harder without asking, are you safe? Are you mentally stable? Are you being controlled or harmed? That is not spiritual leadership. That is spiritual negligence. So let's be clear about something. God is not glorified by abuse, and silence is definitely not submission. Endurance is not holiness when it destroys a human being, and belief systems that require you to disappear to prove loyalty is not love. Culture can be beautiful, of course, but culture can also be cruel. In many societies, women are taught to endure, men are taught to suppress. Speaking up is seen as shame. Living is seen as failure. So people do what? They just stay. Not because things are okay, but because the cost of living feels higher than the cost of suffering. But here's the truth people really don't like to hear. Culture should protect people, not bury them alive. The danger of everyone's opinion is once abuse becomes public, something else happens. Everybody has advice. Your aunt will advise you, your uncle will advise you, your neighbors will advise you, your church members, your colleague. Suddenly, everybody has an opinion. But opinions are cheap and consequences are not shared. The same people telling you to stay will not be there when depression sets in. They will not be there when anxiety takes over. They will definitely not be there when your children absorb the tension because of your mood swing. They will not be there when your identity disappears. And yet, their voices are often the loudest. So what do you do with that kind of advice? For me, here is a simple filter. Any advice that dismisses your pain, that ignores patterns of harm, that prioritizes image over safety, that shames you into silence, is not an advice you should follow. Research consistently shows that long-term emotional and psychological abuse can lead to anxiety disorder, depression, PTSD, loss of self-worth, physical health issues, and children raised in emotionally unsafe homes are more likely to normalize dysfunction. They struggle with relationships, they repeat cycles of abuse. This isn't drama, it's data. If you're watching this and you are nodding in agreement with what I'm saying, hear this. You are not rebellious for wanting peace. You are not faithless for choosing safety. You are not weak for questioning advice that is killing you slowly, and you are not alone. This channel, it exists for reasons like this: to say the things people whisper, to name what others minimize, to create space for truth, accountability, and healing. If my previous videos spoke to you, then this conversation is part of the same truth. And in my next video, we're going to talk about something even deeper: how some victims become the villains once they finally speak up, why society is often kinder to abusers than survivors, and the price people pay for choosing peace over performance. That conversation is going to make a lot of people uncomfortable. But if truth matters to you, you will want to be here for my next video, because silence has had the microphone for too long. This is a space where truth is spoken, silence is broken, and healing begins. Unfiltered, uncensored, and unapologetic.